It was September 1979, and thousands of Americans from nearly every state in the nation had come to Los Angeles to attend the Libertarian Party's presidential nominating convention. The convention slogan, "Toward a Three-Party System." Those who attended had reason to believe that America is on the verge of accepting a major new political movement. Newsweek called it the politics of hope. The overwhelming choice of the delegates to carry the Libertarian banner was 49-year-old attorney Ed Clark. In January, Clark faced the Washington Press Corps.
This today marks the opening of my national headquarters here in Washington, D.C., taking advantage of that occasion to come here to brief you on the status of my campaign. I think the 1980 Libertarian campaign will mark the beginning of a three-party United States. I think that the trends in American society and the strength and growth of the Libertarian Party will make this the most important third-party campaign in 50 years. The American public has lost faith in the two-party system. Younger voters have, and older voters too, because even those who consider themselves Republicans or Democrats are no longer as tied to the two-party system as they used to be. President Carter was elected on a program to end inflation. We now have at least 13% inflation. He was elected on a program to simplify and streamline the bureaucracy to make it more understandable. He has created two huge new departments. I don't think the bureaucracy is any more responsive today than it used to be. Ronald Reagan, the leading Republican contender, is for higher military spending, for an interventionist foreign policy that is likely to lead us to the brink of war. The bipartisan economic policy of the Republicans and Democrats, which has brought inflation and stagnation, which has stopped economic growth in the last 10 years so that poor people in our country will always be poor, has to be changed toward a growth policy which can be produced by tax cuts. I think the American people are tired of being pushed to the brink of war. They're not going to sacrifice their children. Young people are not going to fight in interventionist wars, and they want a foreign policy that will produce peace and not war. For these reasons, because my approach to issues is going to be very different, I expect to be a major participant in the political campaign, and one of the high priorities of my campaign is to be included in the presidential debates and in all forums in which the Republican and Democratic candidates participate. I think 1980 is going to be the start of a three-party country, and it will be a campaign that will change the whole political landscape. Thank you.
Is it a correct statement that the underlying principle of your party is achieving the absolute minimum of government? Or if I'm wrong, what is it?
The principle of libertarians is...
A California newspaper wrote, reporters who are used to hearing carefully crafted lies were plainly delighted that Ed Clark was willing to stand before them and give straight answers to straight questions. Ed Clark is the kind of presidential candidate Americans are looking for, and he has the campaign organization to make a serious challenge in 1980.
Many people don't realize how well organized this campaign is. This is the first serious national political campaign in the past dozen years that is an alternative to the major two parties. The Clark for President campaign is organized in each of the 50 states in virtually every city in the country. And that organization, if money is there to support it, can create a three-party system. I'm convinced of that. The demographics of the country are such, with all the more younger voters than ever in history, all the non-voters who are looking for something new. If we can bring them into the polling booth, Ed Clark is going to establish a three-party America, and we've got the campaign staff and campaign organization to get the job done.
The Libertarians, the nation's fastest-growing political party. They're attracting a cross-section of Americans who are fed up with politics as usual and who increasingly are identifying government as the source of most of our international and domestic problems. Ed Clark, described by one delegate as our eminently reasonable radical, is building a new coalition that wants to cut back government across the board.
Mr. Chairman, the great state of Alaska, the land of the individual and other endangered species, has one abstention, 7 votes for Bill Hunter, and 24 votes for Ed Clark. California, the home of the tax revolt,
casts 1 vote for none of the above, 1 vote for Larson, 22 votes for Huncher, and 94 votes for Ed Clark, the next President of the United States!
I've heard a little noise here today. I take it maybe you people would like to see a 3-party America.
A major third-party campaign requires thousands of dedicated supporters.
The political activity for Clark is the only political activity that I know of on campus, because he's the only candidate who's talking about issues that concern students in a way that makes any sense. He's the only candidate who wouldn't try as president to get us into a nuclear war or risk it by interfering in the affairs of other countries. He's the only candidate who wouldn't risk our lives, students' lives in war, because he's against the military draft. He's the only candidate who's against interference in people's personal lifestyles on principle. And because of that, people like myself who don't have any money to give his campaign are volunteering to work for him instead.
Well, I've heard Ed talk about inflation. I heard him talk about the economy and the growth of the money supply and things like that. And I think he can do something about these problems. He's going to hopefully try and get on the debates, and I hope that he can, because if he does get on the debates, then the American people will have a chance to hear Ed and hear all the things that he knows about. He's very articulate, and I feel he would do a great job on the debates.
Would he win the election if he were on?
I believe he could win the election if he were on the debates.
Okay, in the past I have not been politically involved because I have found that neither of the 2 existing parties ever addressed the one issue that I was most concerned with, and that was the maintenance of my rights as an individual to live my life the way that I choose. Ed Clark, the presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, does guarantee that all rights of individuals will be protected, and as a result I feel that mine will be guaranteed as well.
People ask me why I am supporting Ed Clark in this campaign, and I have looked at the other candidates and heard what they had to say, and I find that Ed Clark is the only one who consistently is interested in the free enterprise system, the only one who understands the basis of the free enterprise system and why we have such inflation as we do at the present time. And Ed Clark stands on the issues in relation to business, in relation to inflation, in relation to the horrors of government regulation. He is the only one who consistently has what I feel are the answers for eliminating the problems that have been created. And I have given gladly the maximum amount to Ed Clark and his campaign.
Many people are contributing the legal maximum to Ed Clark's campaign, and others are contributing their time and effort. At the opening of his national headquarters in Washington, Clark met with 200 volunteers and staff workers to celebrate the beginning of what they believe will be a campaign of historic importance.
In 1980, we're going to create a 3-party political situation in the United States. We're going to have a campaign that is going to change the whole political landscape of this country. We're going to do it for many reasons. One is that despite the obstacles placed in front of us, we now have the organization, we now have the people to achieve this. The Republicans and the Democrats require us to gather hundreds of thousands of signatures to get on the ballot in all of the states. We're going to do that. We expect to be on the ballot in every state, or at least in 47 or 48. In addition, they have placed limits on contributions. They are financing the Republicans and the Democrats with tax dollars, with compulsory tax dollars. We're not going to do that. We're going to raise our money privately. We're going to have a major nationwide campaign. And by doing this, we're going to take advantage of the trends in American society that make the emergence of a large civil rights non-interventionist foreign policy, free market party a real probability today. These trends include Vietnam, where the American people started to distrust their government and foreign policy, to turn against military adventurism. They include Watergate, where people came to understand that the quality of conduct of the President of the United States was less than that of the average citizen. And all of these trends came together in Proposition 13 in California, where the biggest state in the country voted by a margin of 2-1 to roll back government for a $6 billion tax cut. Now, the same thing is possible on the national level. We have issues that the other parties do not have. The other parties are going to push for inflation, more spending, and they're not going to talk about spending cuts. They're going to talk about more spending. We are going to balance the budget and end inflation. With respect to taxes, we're going to come for across-the-board tax cuts, bigger tax cuts than any other party. With respect to foreign affairs, we're going to go for a non-interventionist foreign policy, a foreign policy that does not involve us in foreign wars. And the cuts that I'll be proposing with respect to military spending will be cuts that will revive the American economy, that will produce a better life here, and that will actually add to the safety of the United States by keeping us out of other countries. These things will tie together, I think, with our program for tax credits for education and civil rights to give us a unique position in American politics. We'll be the party of peace, we'll be the party of economic progress, and we will present a message that will help to build a new consensus in American society. How many votes we can get and how far we can go, however, depends on how much money we have, because we need money for advertising. Every new advertisement we can place on radio and TV and other media will mean more people we can reach, more votes, more minds that we can change. I ask you to help me in this great endeavor for freedom, because together, if we have the financial resources, we can create a better America.
A three-party America. In 1980, we can once and for all reject the lesser of two evils. This election, we have the candidate and the party that will restore America's heritage as a beacon of hope and liberty to all the peoples of the world.